Hello, once again, welcome to the story so far. It's Aaron, and only Aaron, doing another solo episode tonight. Just got back from doing a trip down to St. George, down in southern Utah, for my work, and that was it was a fairly good trip. Ran down yesterday, did some work yesterday, and then came back today after doing a little bit more work. So it was a quick trip, but it was still a good trip. A couple of things to note from that trip. People, please keep your eye on the street lights. I almost got hit yesterday from a guy running a red light, and then he had the gall to honk his horn. And it was funny because there was a car in front of me and then myself, and we were in the turn lane, and then some cars next to us. Light turns green, car in front of me goes, and then I start to go, and sure enough, here comes this guy slamming on his brakes, hitting his horn. Just wasn't paying attention. I did not notice if he was on his cell phone or not, but you got to make sure that you're paying attention to traffic and traffic signals as you're going, and especially pedestrians and people on bikes. So just keep your eyes open and keep your attention focused on what you're doing when you're driving a motor vehicle. I mean, you are, operating a dangerous weapon, I should say, if it's used improperly. So another thing I want to touch on is, got the government shut down. It's affecting a lot of people, and we're coming up on this debt ceiling deal that they got going on, where if they don't raise the debt ceiling, then it's really going to throw us into some major chaos. All I gotta say is everybody in the government is just a bunch of morons. I'm not saying that I can run it any better, but when you're not coming to the table and agreeing on things because you feel that one person's in the wrong over the other, then both sides are being selfish, and you're basically putting your egos out in front of what you're really there for, which are the needs of the people that you're supposed to be representing. So government just needs to pull their heads out of their rear ends and get things back going right. And I'll tell you, it's not only bad for us, but it's also making us look bad to other countries out there. And who knows what ramifications this is going to have worldwide on us. So, government, just get your heads pulled out. I mean, you've got a lot of people that are hurting for jobs thanks to you not being open and all that. So, other than that, I did dig up a few stories here. Got a couple other things to talk about real quick, but I'm still trying to get my stuff prepared here. Sorry, I hit the record before I was fully prepared, but let's see here. Just got my song of the week that I want to get going, get prepared on here. I've already got it picked out. I just need to get it lined up here so that when we're ready for it, there we go. It'll be all ready to go. There it is. All right, she's all ready, so. Next thing I want to talk about is, I've been talking lately about movies that I've been watching, and the other day I pulled out one from my collection that is one of my favorite movies that I've seen in the last few years, and it's called The Book of Eli. And I sat and watched that again the other night by myself, and one thing that I did notice in it, and that I've noticed in a lot of the movies lately, is the fact that you're seeing things happen after a big war has gone on, and what happens after that, after everything's gone to hell and everything's hit the fan, and now you're seeing what the future might be. And in the Book of Eli, obviously nuclear bombs came down, dropped, and really destroyed everything. But the thing that I noticed was, even though we have usage of vehicles and different things like that, this Book of Eli takes place in the near future, so to speak. And with that, the things that I was noticing is the town that Eli goes to uh, during the movie, there's no solar power, there's no wind power. Also, as they're walking out through the desert, which I'm assuming this is happening in possibly somewhere between Colorado and California, because of the fact that Eli's heading west to California. So I'm guessing that it's happening somewhere in there where towns are few and far in between. But that's one of the other things is you're not seeing that many people out and about. So I'm guessing they're expecting everybody, or not everybody, but a lot of people to die in these movies. But the thing that gets me is there's just not a whole lot of technology there. You know, the other thing is that he pulls out his little MP3 player, which looks like an older school version of the iPod. I know that when the movie was made, they did have the newer iPods out, so it was just interesting. And I'm not saying that iPods are going to survive, but it was just interesting to see the piece of technology that he had. But the biggest issue was the alternate energy sources. And I've noticed this in a lot of other movies recently where they don't use the alternative energy sources such as windmills and that. When I think a windmill is a very basic idea that you can make and put to use to bring power and to use to pump water and that to your village or whatever. So back in the 70s and 80s when solar power was just barely coming out and all that, I can understand them not utilizing that in a movie as far as getting that type of a source handy. But nowadays, when you're making a movie, I think you got to take into account that technology is going to survive, and you should be trying to put that to use. Now, windmills have been around since back in the early days of civilization. So for them not to be utilizing that type of stuff, it really surprises me. I mean, I'm not an engineer or anything, but I'm pretty sure that I could figure out how to make up a basic use of a windmill and connect it to some form of a generator, whether it be a car alternator or whatever, so that I can use car parts to run lights and different things or whatnot. I'm pretty sure that it could be figured out. So, but moving on, one of the things that I like to do in my personal life as I'm driving and whatnot, I like to listen to podcasts, and I've talked about them on past episodes. And today I was listening to one called The Art of Wrestling with Colt Cabana. I'm a big fan of professional wrestling, as many of you might know, some of you might not. And Colt Cabana is a independent wrestler, so to speak, where he doesn't wrestle for the WWE, which is the biggest company, or TNA, which is the second biggest company out there today. He wrestles smaller federations around the country and all over the world. And so he does his own podcast where he interviews his friends from wrestling. And today his guest was, I shouldn't say today, but actually, yeah, it was today. Today, Thursday, his guest was Lanny Poffo. Or no, today's Wednesday, sorry. I'm getting way ahead of myself here. It was last Thursday's guest, which was Lanny Poffo. Fans of the WWE in the 80s and early 90s may recognize him as a character known as the Genius. He was also the Macho Man Randy Savage's brother. And so the reason why I bring it up was he had an interesting quote. And I'm attributing the quote to him, but he actually heard this quote from another guy, and I didn't get that guy's name. So we're attributing it to Lanny Poffo. But the quote goes, "A beautiful woman on the outside makes a good first impression. A beautiful woman on the inside makes a lasting impression." Fortunately, I have the privilege of my wife being both. She's beautiful on the outside and on the inside, so I benefit from that greatly. Tonight, I do have a couple of stories for you here. I've actually got 3 that I pulled in. And I'm going to try and hopefully have 2 or 3 stories for you guys from now on, so that we can discuss them and whatnot. Hopefully when Matt's here, we can discuss these stories. But for you guys, I hopefully will start being able to post these up onto the page. You'll see them. Excuse me. Sorry. You'll see me post them up myself on the Story So Far page, or you'll see them posted from the Story So Far. But anyway, I do hope that you guys get to check them out, and please share them. Also, I'm tweeting now on Twitter, so you can look me up at Dutch Aaron. And so the first story that I found and then kind of concerns me a little bit is, and it doesn't deal with me, but I'm concerned about it because it's a new drug that's out in the U.S. I guess it's been out around the world a little bit, but it's a drug called, I don't know how you pronounce it exactly, but to me it looks like it's pronounced crocodile. It's an inexpensive heroin substitute, and the reason why it concerns me is because of the fact that when you take this drug, use this drug, it actually starts eating your flesh away. And it's made of codeine and gas or paint thinner. So it's really not a good drug out there. I mean, no drug is good when used in the way that these drugs are, but it only costs $8 as compared to regular heroin, which can cost you between $25 and $30. And like I said, it eats away at your flesh. In the article they were saying that it just barely hit the U.S. A short time ago, and you're starting to see a lot of people starting to become affected with it. The one good thing that I can say is that the people that are dumb enough to buy it and use it, you're obviously going to, it looks like you're going to be suffering some major consequences from that. So steer clear of it. If you hear about it, keep your eyes open for more stories like this. I'm pretty sure that this thing's going to spread pretty quickly, and you'll start hearing more about this in the news. So, more along the funny lines of things, my next 2 stories are both what I think are funny. So, the next story that I've got is about a Florida woman. She stabbed her boyfriend in the eye when he refused to have a threesome. So his girlfriend comes home from a party. She brings another woman in with her, and boyfriend's in asleep. This is about 4 o'clock in the morning. And so these 2 ladies come in. Apparently they hop on the same bed as the boyfriend, wake him up, and they're starting to have oral sex between the 2 of them. And so the boyfriend wakes up and starts watching them. And so the girlfriend turns to him and says, "Hey, join on in with us," and he refuses. So when he was asked to join in, he refused, and then the other woman got up and left the room. When she did that, the girlfriend got really irritated and actually pulled a knife on him. So then the 2 started tussling around, and the girlfriend ended up stabbing the boyfriend in the eye. Cops have verified that. Now the thing is that when the cops interviewed the 2, the boyfriend's telling them, "Hey, she got mad and pulled the knife on me, and so we tussled." But the girlfriend's saying that he actually stepped on her head and she was just defending herself. So we'll see what happens with that. Just an interesting situation all over a guy not wanting to have a threesome. So the next story that I've got, and these are, I found all 3 of these stories through Gawker, which is a great odd news site. So the next one that I found was a burlesque dancer in New York City was arrested last year for topless sunbathing in a New York City park. So she was arrested last year, and the reason why the story is coming out now is because she's actually suing the police department because apparently she's supposed to be allowed to be able to sunbathe topless. She was sunbathing last summer in a park. when two officers approached her and told her to put on a shirt. Citing a case from 1992 that ruled that women are allowed to be topless anywhere a man is, she told the cops, I'm not going to do it. Get your supervisor over here. When she refused, the cops arrested her and actually handcuffed her with pink handcuffs, and then took her in, held her for 5 hours in jail, and then finally ended up charging her with obstruction of a sitting area. And eventually the charges were dropped after a couple of months, but recently the police sent out a memo to all their departments saying, hey, if a woman is out sunbathing anywhere that a man can be, then there's no issue there. So apparently, thanks to this case in '92 that was in an appeals court, women in New York City can sunbathe anywhere that a man can go without a shirt. So we'll see. I think that she's probably going to get some money out of this, but we'll see how that goes. So let's move on over to the song of the week. This is actually an old song by Queen, and it's called Another One Bites the Dust. And the reason why I'm playing it is because if I remember right, I heard that this week was the week that Another One Bites the Dust debuted back in 1980, I do believe. So I could be wrong on that, on the debut, but I know that I did hear about it. And this version of the song is actually a remix with Wyclef Jean that came out just a few years ago, and I really like it. So here it is. Play a minute or two of it, and then I think we'll call it a night.
Are you ready? Hey, are you ready for this? Are you hanging on the edge of your seat?
I need a break.
Are you ready? Hey, are you ready for this? Are you hanging on the edge of your seat?
I need a break.
Are you ready? Hey, are you ready for this? Are you hanging on the edge of your seat?
I need a break.
Out of the doorway, the bullets rip. Repeat to the sound of the beat.
Yo,
Hey,
I'm for the kids in the club that's ready to get buzzed.
another one bites the dust.
I'm for the thugs with the burners that want to blast off.
Another one bites the dust.
And for the kids on the block shooting at the crooked cops.
Another one
Loud.
bites the dust. And another one.
Block
And
left.
another one.
Dirty Cash.
Another one
Young
bites the
Free.
dust. Yeah.
Freddie, where you at?
Brooks burning down the street. Blew way down low.
Some cat up in Brooklyn just got robbed with a Kango.
Are you ready? Hey, are you ready for this? Are you hanging on the edge of your seat? Out of the doorway, the bullets rip. Repeat to the sound of the beat.
My
Hey!
man got shot and the block got hot.
Another one bites the dust.
Yo, hey yo, I hear more shots. It's like Fort Knox,
Another
kid.
one bites the dust.
Yo,
And
hold your
another
breath.
one down.
Hold your
All right, so again, that was Another One Bites the Dust remix by Queen and Wyclef Jean. Check it out. It's on Queen's Greatest Hits 1, 2, and 3, the Platinum Collection. So I really enjoy it. Play it quite a bit when I'm out cruising around. And there again, it's just another great song. Sorry again that Matt's not here this week. I kind of just threw this show together tonight. We were supposed to get together 2 nights ago, but things didn't work out then. And then yesterday, which was Tuesday, is normally our night to record. But again, I was out of town, so I couldn't do that. And so I got back into town today, and I felt like, I really wanted to get the show up and done. So I went ahead and just did it myself this week. But Matt should be back next week. So we'll see. Like I said, we're going to keep trying to go with the format where I at least have a couple of stories ready to go, so that if we don't have anything else to talk about, I've got some news stories to talk about. The other thing that I want to bring out is Where the Blacktop Ends. Again, you guys will always see me doing a promo for this book. It's written by my dad, John R. Mizell, and Steve Stout. You guys can look it up on Facebook, Where the Blacktop Ends. You can also find it on Amazon.com and on BarnesandNoble.com. Last time I checked on Amazon, it was about $5 for a digital copy, and then I think $9 for the paperback. So check it out. It's definitely a good book. It's about my dad's life growing up in Alabama and then all the way up through as he got out of the Marine Corps. Definitely a good read, some good life lessons in there. So, it's written in the tone of a Southern person talking. So I really enjoyed it. I think you will too. And then the other thing I want to talk about is KJ Photography. Look them up on Facebook. She's doing some great deals right now for fall and all that. And so she's a good photographer. She takes really quality pictures. And I think that's going to be it. So check us out next week. Make sure that you guys share the link on your Facebook pages. Tell your friends to watch the show. Please start sending in some feedback. You can send feedback to me on Facebook, on the Story So Far USA. That's our page there. Send it to me on YouTube. Dutch Aaron 90210 is the channel there, and you guys can definitely send me an email there. Tweet me. I'm on Twitter at Dutch Aaron. So also you can look me up on Facebook on my personal page, Aaron Mizell. So definitely I want to hear comments. I want to hear questions, things that you guys want to hear us talk about. I think next week we'll probably come with a little more of maybe some stuff from the kitchen, different things, but we'll try and get things moving around a little bit so we have a more of a variety show. Also this week I'm going to try and do some research on what's going on the local music scene, because I know I haven't really addressed that too much lately. So want to get some of that information back out there again. Definitely look up your local bands, support them. Definitely some people out there on Facebook and on the interweb that have pages to support those. You got Project SLC, you've got the Collective here in Utah. Both those people support local music. Look up all your local bands. I mean, you got the Red on Black, you got Opal Hill Drive, you got the American Hitman, just tons of other bands out there. So, support them, support your local music. If you're not here in Utah, definitely from where you're at. If your bands are putting out some music videos, throw them up on Facebook, try and get the information out there. Look them up on Reverb Nation. There's a bunch of other websites. I think I'll probably try and get a couple other websites and write them down so that I have them for you for next time. So, but this has been a show. This is Aaron, and this is the story so far. We'll catch you next time. Thanks.